For nearly a century, one book has influenced millions of people around the world. A book that has shaped the thinking of entrepreneurs, business leaders, athletes, and dreamers alike. Yet most people completely misunderstand its message. It begins with an extraordinary story. In 1908, one of the richest men in the world, Andrew Carnegie, gave a young journalist named Napoleon Hill an unusual challenge to spend the next 20 years studying the habits, beliefs, and mindset of the world's most successful people. Hill accepted that challenge. He interviewed some of the greatest achievers of his time, searching for one answer. Why do some people consistently succeed, while others, equally talented, never reach their potential? The result was Think and Grow Rich, a book that has sold millions of copies and continues to inspire readers almost a century later. But here's what surprised me the most. This isn't really a book about money. It's a book about mastering the one thing that shapes every result in your life: your mind. Because before every fortune, before every successful business, before every invention, before every achievement, there was first a single thought. So in today's video, let's uncover the timeless lessons from Think and Grow Rich and discover why they remain just as powerful today as they were nearly 100 years ago. So where does Napoleon Hill begin? Surprisingly, not with money, not with business strategies, not even with hard work. He begins with something much simpler: a burning desire. Let's go through the lessons one by one. Lesson 1. Every great achievement begins with a burning desire. Most people say they want success, but if you ask them exactly what success looks like, they don't have an answer. Napoleon Hill argues that vague wishes produce vague results. He writes that every great achievement starts with a burning desire, a goal so clear and meaningful that it keeps you moving even when life gets difficult. Think about famous entrepreneurs, athletes, or artists. Before anyone believed in them, they first had to believe in themselves. Their success wasn't built in a single day. It was built through years of staying committed to one clear vision. Imagine two people who want to start a business. The first person says, "It would be nice if I could earn more money someday." The second person says, "Within 3 years, I will build a business that earns enough to support my family, and I will learn every skill necessary to make that happen." Who do you think is more likely to stay motivated when challenges appear? The second person. Because desire creates commitment, and commitment creates persistence. That's why Hill says success begins not with opportunity, but with a decision. But having a powerful desire isn't enough. Every day, millions of people dream about living a better life, yet only a small percentage actually turn those dreams into reality. So, what makes the difference? According to Hill, it all comes down to what happens inside your mind. Lesson 2. Faith, believing before you see results. After establishing desire, Hill introduces faith, not blind optimism, not wishful thinking, but a deep inner conviction that your goal is possible. Hill argues that faith is developed through repetition. The thoughts we repeat daily eventually become beliefs. Those beliefs shape our confidence, and confidence influences the actions we're willing to take. One of Hill's most important ideas is that thoughts become powerful only when they are combined with emotion. A goal that genuinely excites you affects your behavior much more than a goal you feel indifferent about. Faith also helps people continue working during periods when there are no visible rewards. Most meaningful achievements require patience. Without belief, people often abandon their efforts before results have time to appear. Hill sees faith as the bridge between desire and action. Once Hill explains how the subconscious mind works, he asks an important question. If our minds are constantly absorbing information, Can we choose what we feed them? His answer is yes. And that's where he introduces one of the most misunderstood ideas in the book. Lesson 3. Autosuggestion. The words that shape your mind. Hill believed that every person is constantly influencing their own thinking, whether consciously or unconsciously. He called this process autosuggestion. Every repeated thought becomes a suggestion to the subconscious mind. Many people unknowingly repeat negative beliefs every day. I'm unlucky. I'm not smart enough. I always fail. Over time, these thoughts begin influencing behavior. Hill encourages readers to become intentional about what they repeatedly tell themselves. Autosuggestion isn't about denying problems or pretending everything is perfect. It's about choosing thoughts that strengthen confidence rather than weaken it. The goal is to replace limiting beliefs with empowering ones through consistent repetition. But repeating positive thoughts alone isn't enough. There's another ingredient that gives those thoughts real power. Hill believed that without it, even the strongest goals slowly lose their momentum. That ingredient is faith. Lesson 4. Specialized knowledge. Information only matters when it's applied. Hill challenges the common belief that success belongs to the smartest person. Instead, he argues that success belongs to people who know how to use knowledge effectively. General knowledge is valuable, but specialized knowledge solves specific problems. Hill points out that many successful people are not experts in every field. Instead, they focus on learning what is necessary for their purpose and surround themselves with others who possess complementary skills. Knowledge sitting inside a book changes nothing. Knowledge applied through action creates value. The lesson reminds us that learning should always lead to implementation. Unfortunately, there's something that constantly tries to compete with faith, something every one of us experiences, something capable of stopping dreams before they even begin. Fear. And Hill has a fascinating perspective on why it holds so many people back. Lesson 5. Imagination. Where every achievement is born. Hill calls imagination the workshop of the mind. Before anything exists physically, it first exists mentally. Every invention, every company, every work of art, every breakthrough. Someone imagined it before it became reality. Hill explains that imagination transforms desire into practical ideas and plans. He distinguishes between combining existing ideas in new ways and receiving entirely new insights. Regardless of the source, imagination allows people to move beyond current circumstances and envision possibilities that don't yet exist. For Hill, imagination is not fantasy. It is the creative force behind innovation and progress. Once you begin replacing fear with faith, another question naturally follows. Is believing enough? Hill's answer is, not even close. Because success doesn't reward people who simply believe. It rewards people who know how to use what they know. Lesson 6. Organized planning. Dreams need a strategy. Desire creates direction. Imagination creates ideas. Planning transforms those ideas into action. Hill warns that many people fail because they stop at inspiration. They dream, they visualize, but they never develop a practical plan. He also reminds readers that the first plan may not succeed. Failure doesn't always mean the goal is impossible. Sometimes it simply means the strategy needs improvement. Success belongs to people who continue adjusting their plans while remaining committed to their purpose. Hill teaches that persistence should apply not only to goals, but also to improving the methods used to achieve them. But knowledge by itself still isn't enough. Thousands of people have brilliant ideas, yet only a handful ever bring them to life. Why? Because every great achievement begins somewhere no one else can see, inside the imagination. Lesson 7. Decision and Persistence. The habit of refusing to quit Hill observed that successful people make decisions with confidence and change them only when there is good reason. Unsuccessful people often do the opposite. They hesitate. They overthink. They allow fear and other people's opinions to delay action. Hill repeatedly emphasizes that temporary defeat is not permanent failure. Most people stop just before progress begins. Persistence keeps desire alive during difficult periods. It transforms setbacks into learning experiences instead of final endings. Hill's famous quote captures this perfectly. "Our greatest weakness lies in giving up. The most certain way to succeed is always to try just one more time." Of course, an idea, no matter how brilliant, remains just an idea until you act on it. That's why Hill says imagination must eventually become something much more practical. A plan. Lesson 8. The Power of the Subconscious Mind. Hill describes the subconscious mind as the place where repeated thoughts become deeply rooted beliefs. Unlike the conscious mind, the subconscious doesn't constantly question every idea. Instead, it gradually accepts thoughts that are repeated with strong emotion. This is why Hill emphasizes protecting your mental environment. Fear, confidence, gratitude, resentment, hope, and doubt all leave impressions on the subconscious. Those impressions eventually influence behavior without conscious effort. Hill believes the subconscious becomes the link between repeated thinking and automatic action. Whatever consistently enters the subconscious eventually begins shaping the way we live. But here's the reality. Even the best plans don't always work the first time. You'll face rejection, you'll make mistakes, you'll probably want to quit. Which brings us to one of the most important qualities Hill talks about. Lesson 9. Fear, the greatest obstacle to success. The final chapter of the book focuses on what Hill calls the 6 ghosts of fear. Among them, he considers the fear of poverty to be one of the most destructive. Fear limits imagination. It weakens confidence, it delays decisions, and often prevents people from even beginning. Hill reminds readers that fear is usually a state of mind rather than an unavoidable reality. Many fears are based on possibilities rather than facts. The more attention fear receives, the stronger it becomes. The more action replaces fear, the weaker it becomes. Hill argues that success requires consciously replacing fear with faith, confidence, and purpose. As he writes, faith and fear cannot occupy the mind at the same time. And after reading the entire book, I realized something interesting. None of these lessons are really about making money. They're about becoming someone who keeps moving forward despite setbacks, which leads to Hill's biggest message of all. Lesson 10. Master your mind, master your life. When you step back from the individual principles, one central message becomes clear. Think and Grow Rich is not simply a book about wealth, it is a book about mental discipline. Hill believes that every person possesses one extraordinary ability, the ability to choose the thoughts they repeatedly feed their mind. Circumstances influence us. Other people influence us. Past experiences influence us. But none of them have absolute control unless we surrender our thinking. The quality of our thoughts influences our beliefs. Our beliefs influence our actions. Our actions shape our habits. And our habits ultimately shape our future. Hill's final message is simple but powerful. If you learn to master your mind, you begin to master your life. Nearly 100 years have passed since Think and Grow Rich was first published. The world has changed. Technology has changed. The way we work has changed, but human nature, our fears, our dreams, our habits, and the way our thoughts shape our actions, those haven't changed at all. That's why this book continues to inspire millions of readers around the world, because at its core, it isn't really a book about money. It's a book about responsibility. The responsibility to choose your thoughts carefully, to replace fear with faith, to keep moving when progress feels invisible, and to understand that every extraordinary achievement begins as something invisible. A thought. Napoleon Hill leaves us with a powerful reminder. You become what you consistently think about. So, if there's one idea I'd like you to take away from today's video, it's this. Guard your mind. Protect it from negativity. Feed it with purpose, curiosity, and belief. Because the conversations you have with yourself today quietly become the life you live tomorrow. If you enjoyed this summary and found value in these timeless lessons, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Page On for more book summaries that help you grow, one page at a time. And until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and never stop turning pages.